Let me start off with this totally non-sexist slide of of two freeway openings here. Now let me start. I'm supposed to be talking about freeways and transportation. I would like to start here in this Los Angeles 1958 a master plan, just kind of a snapshot of where we are now and where we at then. So this is essentially the grid system that we drive today. The plan was for about 1,500 miles of freeway. The real plan was essentially a grid system covering the entire basin where you can be anywhere within 4 miles of anywhere in Los Angeles and be within a freeway. It's really the first long-range master plan. The next year, the state of California will come up with their own master plan, which is the first state to come up with a master plan. As you can see already, the ones that are in red are completed, and the greens are not completed. So some of those not completed are the Beverly Hills Freeway, which they actually started to purchase properties. And actually, you can see part of the interchange still to this day on Vermont and the 101, where it's huge, wide. They were waiting for their freeway to come. It never did. The other one is the Whitnall Freeway. And all of the traffic surveys at this time show that most of the traffic was actually on the west side, right? It's actually where you find the least amount of freeways on today. So we have the greatest need for freeways, and you have the least amount of freeways. And then as we see already, the highest concentration of freeways happens to be in a little small area known as East Los Angeles, and I'll talk about that later. Another one I'll talk about very quickly is the Pacific Coast Freeway, and that's not an accident of them being in the ocean. Like, part of the plan was to have either a mile or two offshore, right? It was planned as the longest freeway in District 7. And again, it's complete with homes, shops, and a harbor, hotels. This was part of different types of plan going on in Los Angeles in the 1950s and 60s. Let me move forward here. Another plan is to have an airport over Union Station. This is at a time where on the vertical takeoffs was kind of new, and they thought that, I'm going back to the centers, to have an actual airport in downtown Los Angeles, just north of the 101, again, right above Union Station. So again, Union Station would still be there, they'll just have an airport on top of that, right? And then also there are some plans for the monorail, but this story is not a monorail story. This is a freeway story. And as you know, this thing never came to fruition. I mean, this story is about not private company. This is about public monies going into specific freeways, which leads me really to why I'm really here today, is really talk about freeways and really the why kind of aspect. Now, there's a lot of reasons, the why aspects. Here's just a short list, right? They're really making way for the rise of the autos. It's to improve traffic. It's a great way to remove quote-unquote slums, and I say that sarcastically, right? It's great for racists. I mean, one of the first things I think about is Robert Moses, right? If you did not like black people, which he did not, you can run a freeway through the Bronx, right? Or if you're not crazy about mixed communities in East Los Angeles, go ahead and run 7 freeways through East Los Angeles, right? Once it becomes an interstate level, the federal government's going to spend 90% of the bill. So you're going to have cities fighting over themselves for that money. No mayor or governor is going to say no to that type of money. So that's also why you have freeways, increased population. You have a new child born every 10 seconds in 1945. Here it is. There's from 1939 to 1999, there's 1,300 residents come to California every day. So there's a huge need in order how to move people around, right? New opportunities. Again, it's simultaneously it's the death of transit. Again, we're using public money. Only $1 public dollar is going to transit, and nearly $8 is going towards this freeway infrastructure. So it's not a fair fight, again, but the story really is about tax dollars and where they're going. In this case, it's about freeways. You know what? Let me actually go back for a second. There's one stat that I wanted to talk about on this one was that currently Southern California, the five-county basin, has 67,000 lane miles. If we stacked up every highway, freeway, and street, this is not including parking area, it will be 67,000 lane miles. That's 2.69 times around the earth, right? And the goal actually to this day is to move it to 75,000 lane miles. So what you see right there is not enough. And again, only about 61% of the plan was actually built by 2001. They've actually added a few lanes on the 210 freeway. Now with that, let's get back to the wide freeways. And what I really want to talk about is, in the 5 minutes I have left, is the business side of it. So wide freeway, all the answers that we talked about are true. The one aspect that I want to talk about is the business. It is the business demand for freeway. This is a snapshot of the 1943 freeways for the region, done by the county. And I love the metaphor that who's on top and who's on bottom, right? Now, again, if we had more time, we could look at more evidence to show that who's on top and who's on bottom. And right now, in this democracy, it's the people who are at the bottom and other interests at top. And in this case, on business. Again, there's industry, commerce, airports, recreation. Oh, by the way, people, right? And with that, again, there's really two takeaway points that I really want you to take home with. One of those is this downtown loop. Understand that Los Angeles is the first major metropolitan city, downtown, to be surrounded by freeways. That's not an accident. Was kind of demanded by business interests. Again, here's the great quote: if the CBD is to survive, they must replace some of the business loss. Freeways will make this possible. The idea was to surround downtown LA and to bring commuters into downtown LA. Again, freeways were seen as a way to salvage their economic woes. Of course, everyone in the room knows that the opposite kind of happened. It moved commuters out to the suburbs. But I am trying to, with a couple of minutes that I have left, say that downtown business interests played a major influence on why freeways, specifically on this freeway loop. 8 minutes, yeah. And you see here, Bullocks are gathering a lot of money in order to study these types of traffic problems. And what coincidence, they recommended freeways again. But again, it's freeways not just to clear traffic, freeways to bring in customers, freeways to save their sagging sales. Now, the one thing I want you to take home from this slide is this freeway loop, which is essentially the East Los Angeles interchange. This is a snapshot from California Highway and Public Works, which is a bi-monthly publication by the Division of Highways, now Caltrans. And the beginning was actually written by business interests. This is the president, there it is, of Occidental Life. So they are working together in order to make sure that freeways accommodate businesses. Now, again, when we're talking about this loop, we are talking about the centerpiece of the entire Los Angeles freeway system, which is the East Los Angeles interchange. One of the grossest and largest pieces of progress ever placed in a community. Again, it's actually has been tripled in size since its first conception. It's actually 3 separate interchanges. It's about 135 acres. To this day, there's about 2 million vehicles that cross that every day. So as I start to wrap up, I need to finish in a minute or so. It's downtown businesses that are at the helm of surrounding downtown LA for business interests. And just by bad luck, East Los Angeles happens to be at the wrong place at the wrong time and a lot of other wrong things. By the way, the centerpiece there is a Times Mirror catalog. So if I had more time, we can look at all the buildings that weren't knocked down by freeways and all the ones that were. So let me, again, so more nucleus of the central business. For the sake of time, let me fast forward, to the 710 freeway. And let me wrap up by saying the 710 freeway, again, it's the state who is supposed to design, pay for, right, planned freeways. This is one example where the city of Long Beach took it upon themselves to plan, construct, pay, kick people out for the southern section of the 710 freeway. Again, it's not an accident. Again, they were able to supersede state laws in order to design the freeway that they wanted to do. And let me just give you a couple of quotes, really. By 1945, 49, Long Beach has spent $1 million. The southerly extension of the Los Angeles River Freeway requires special mention because the construction work now in progress by the city of Long Beach is the only instance since World War II of another government agency carrying out construction and complete unit of the Los Angeles freeway system. The last two slides. This RD is to serve the harbor and its attempt to devise an adequate means of distributing traffic into the harbor. Now, I want to wrap up, so maybe I'll wrap up here. The 710 freeway was intended to get into the central manufacturing district, which is now Vernon, City of Commerce, Bell, Cudahy, one of the largest Rust Belt places in the world. When it was designed in 1930, it was the largest planned industrial section in the world. It was supposed to have all kinds of jobs. We must make goods, send those through the ports out to the world. Most of you understand, too, that also didn't come out as planned, and we are currently in the world's greatest trade deficit in world history. So there's a lot of reasons why you build freeways. Business is one of those reasons that I wanted to talk about. Here's the 1959. Again, we can go through it and look at all the reasons why freeways should be for business and not so much for people. I mean, there's really no mention of environmental hazards or anything like that just yet. We'll end where we started on the master plan, and maybe we'll get to those 75,000 lane miles, right, eventually, but not the 6.2 miles of South Pasadena, at least not yet. I think I'm done. Thank you very much for your time.